Hi folks, this is going to be one of my Discord League games. I've upgraded my setup a little bit, so hopefully it'll sound a little bit better. So this is a game against Lambershaspy, or Lambershaspy. Lambershaspy? Interesting. Anyway, I'm playing one of my favorite decks right now. This is a Sevenfold Palace Honor Run with Courtier Swarm. So the general idea here is... you obviously are using Diplomat and Seeker of Void. Diplomat, just generically good. Seeker of Void gives you a really threatening row aside from City of the Rich Frog and Suma. And allows you to have Magistrate Station on the Stronghold. And basically you just take giant chunks of honor. It's running Common Cause and Reprieve for the splash. And you can see a couple bonsai gardens, things like that. So here, what I see on the flop is Doji Hotaru on Suma, which is kind of hard to pass up. Honestly, what I was looking for initially was actually diplomats. You kind of hard mull for the diplomats. They print you money, and it's just generically good. Here I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do, because my opponent's going to be passing, right? They're probably not going to play an Agasha Swordsmith with nothing. So I kind of know what their board's going to look like. The Hotaru comes out honored, which is huge. I can then add a Fate to her off of the duplicate. So unlike a lot of honor running decks, this bids 5 the first turn. So you can see that obviously you kind of want cards to fuel everything, because cards, it turns out, are pretty good. But the bigger piece of that is that basically it's actually a switch deck. It doesn't rely entirely on just gaining honor or even just bowing the stronghold to get its victories in. The idea is you're going to be putting on so much pressure with your breaks, and then if they stall you out on breaks, you can change your strategy towards running up to 25. So it gives you pressure, and very often is going to put pressure on the opponent's hand and force their bids lower, things like that. It gets a lot of wins off of the fact that my opponents don't know how to bid into it. So it's something that I think if it ever becomes more popular, which I gotta be honest, I'd be a little surprised if it did. But if that were to happen, it would get weaker for that reason. So, just people get better playing into it. It gets a lot of equity off the fact that nobody knows what the heck to do against it. But anyway, here we are. My opponent is playing out some cards. He's trying to get to a point where he can box and be winning the duel with Raitsugu, I think. Basically, we're going to pass through almost all of this first turn, and when you are heavily investing in one body, like I ended up having to here, you kind of just want to pass, because you don't want to take undefended breaks. And in particular, Suma is the heart of this deck. Your stronghold doesn't trigger unless you have honored characters. You only have 6 honor effects in the conflict deck, 3 court games, and 3 court games, 3 Weighted Crane. So you kind of need to protect those. So yeah, he's just trying to play to the idea of getting bigger than me so he can duel me. So you need to protect Suma because it's producing a lot of your honor tokens, and the deck kind of runs off of 2 different types of ways to gain honor. Obviously, you've got the stronghold and the air ring and the fire ring and things like that, but it also, because it's a swarm deck, it relies a lot on kind of these pings from characters leaving play and things like that. So, or like even like bonsai garden, that kind of thing. Um, Basically, it has a really easy time getting to like 1920, and then getting above that to get to 25 is more difficult. So, yeah, we attack air. He's going to be left standing, which is fine, right? It means that neither one of us is getting the favor. But you know, what do I care? Like, he could have played a Ancient Master there, and it wouldn't have really phased me much. So we're going to pitch all this because we are still looking for diplomats. Forcing my opponent to turn up one of my row cards means I have likelihood of getting like Weight of Duty online. So you can see here, we see a diplomat. We get to peek under Mitsu, which is big. It's Shameful Display. So Shameful Display is like one of the more devastating things for this deck to run into. That's another reason you want Diplomat, because you want to be able to find those key provinces that really wreck you. So here I'm looking at my hand, right? I have court games in hand, so Savvy Paul can honor 2 people. My opponent's going to season, which I actually like, because it lets me get more diplomats. The diplomat triggers are really important. And then you can see I also went into an Esteemed Tea House, which is amazing against his attachment heavy deck, and Benevolent Host. Benevolent Host is how I cheat. So you can see this is the reason I have Reprieve in the deck. And in fact, this was prior to pack 1 of the new cycle coming out, Temptations. And I just want to talk about that bit for a second when we get back to it. But this was prior to that. So I don't have Make Your Case, which is a super, super important card for this deck. Because, I mean, look at Hotaru, right? If you ever defend against her, then I'm just going to destroy you with putting fate onto her with Make Your Case, right? You're never going to get to a state where you can stop that unless you are, unless you're running Fingers of Jade, things like that. So here I'm kind of going through, I know I want Kageu because Kageu onto Benevolent Host is like the highest value. And the, anyway, that bid, he bid 3 to my 1. That is what I mean when I say people don't know how to bid against this deck. I was at 15 there, and looking at my board, I saw a Savvy Politician, a Benevolent Host. I knew I had Wealth in hand. The odds that I could hit 22, 23 by the end of this turn are pretty high, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Right, so you can see me here doing the math. So Asami's going to steal 1. Benevolent Host, or Bonsai Garden's going to steal 1. Hotaru is worth 1 every time he plays a card, so he doesn't want to play cards into me. Sevenfold Palace is 2, Air Rings 2. Like, just on board, I've got 2, 4, 5, 6. Puts me to 23. So then I just need 2 bodies to leave play. So this is where the Kageu placement comes in. So if there's this like little weird rules interaction, so with the way Disguised actually works, basically if you're playing Kageu off of Suma and the target for Kageu is honored, then the target you're disguising over, then when you disguise Kageu over that, it will gain you an honor. because the honor token that's on the guy who's leaving play can't move over to Kageu because he already has one. So you just get to gain an honor because it stays on the body that then leaves play. So putting him on Suma, the interface with wealth and everything is really, really it's big. So again, here I'm looking at he just played a talisman prior to the conflict. I want to make sure that he is not going to use that to move me over to Shameful, and the best way to do that is to go and just hit Restoration of Balance, because we're starting to get to the point of the game where I don't actually care about hand disparities, not nearly as much anyway. And this is kind of the way the deck plays late in the game, in that it tends to it tends to get to a certain point where you're just kind of sprinting for honor. So here you can see I've got it down to 6 cards. I can't play the Daimyo's Retainer or the Reprieve. I think actually the Noble Sack is deader, though. You can see he's already got a Fine Katana or a Finger of Jade on Right Sugu. So I'm kind of like figuring out, all right, what am I dropping here to get to 4 cards? So I'm pre-playing stuff. I'm playing that Court Games. I'm playing the Fan, all that kind of stuff. So we get to bow the box, go to 21. We get the Air Ring. Yep, so you can see those are probably the deadest cards. I just don't need a 2/2 body, right? I can put the Diplomats in front of anything that he wants to throw at me. And then Benevolent Host has a free stand from Kageu, which will also gain me an honor to put me to 24. Which makes the game kind of difficult for him to win at that point. So yeah, that's kind of the way the deck works. But you can see, right, if he had bid 1 there, he goes down 2 cards. Maybe he doesn't draw the Talisman, so that makes my life a little more awkward, but, you know. Overall, I end up at 21, and next turn I'm going to threaten the exact same type of win that I'm threatening this turn anyway. Because what'll happen is then my Hotaru and my Benevolent Host will be leaving play. Well, Benevolent Host is going to become Kageu, but those cards will be leaving play at the end of the Fate phase. So I kind of make it so that last round, all I need to do is defend a bunch and not eat too many dishonor effects. And most people aren't playing anything other than Court Games and, like, you know, they have access to the Fire Ring, obviously. But you can often just overwhelm that. Or like in my row right now, I have Calo Delegate. Calo Delegate is gain 1 honor during the Fate phase, right? And with the way the Fate phase works, I can reorder it. It's yeah, anyway. So my opponent is attacking Mill here. I have no idea why. I'm not sure what that attack was meant to do. It was meant to take Void off the table, so I can't Void out Right Sugu. But like, okay, I was probably not going to Void out Right Sugu anyway. You know, what I'm worried about here, obviously, is just making it to the next turn, because I know, or I think, that I have a way, you know, to win this, basically to make it inevitable. So you can see here my honor is going to tick up by 1 because I gain 1 due to Benevolent Hosts leaving play. I will say him attacking Void actually did take one of my outs away, because I could have voided like my own Hotaru or Savvy Politician to kill it quicker, so that I ended up getting to 25 during this Fate phase instead of having to wait for the next one. But like, when you get into situations like I'm in right now, the deck gets extremely awkward to play against because, like, I have a Bonsai Garden on Shameful Display, okay? If you attack me air, I get to 25 because I Bonsai Garden. If you attack me anything else, then I'm going to gain honor at the end of the turn, or I'm going to swing at you with some little guy and gain honor that way. You know, all I need to do is start an air conflict, or have you start one for me, even. So yeah, it's an interesting overall kind of way to approach things, this deck, because at a certain point you kind of are coasting and just waiting to get that 25th honor. So my opponent is basically trying to set up a situation here where he's going to win this Earth Ring. But the thing is, I don't care, right? Like, so what do I have in my hand that I care about, right? Reprieve, I actively don't want right now. Voice of Honor is good, but okay. So the other thing is, I think my opponent might have thought that Finger of Jade prevented tea houses, because you can see he put another Finger of Jade on the right Sugu, and I honestly don't know why. He duels to kill my Diplomat. Again, he is getting to winning the ring. Unfortunately, he hasn't played any cards yet into this conflict, so I can't draw anything with Kigeyu. But he kills a Voice of Honor. Okay. Now, the other side of this deck right now that you're starting to see is I am actually pretty close to decking out. I'm at 15. I believe we've seen one enemy season war, right? He's only seen 9 cards on his Dynasty side. I've seen 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 26. Yeah, 20, 25. Oh no, sorry, it is 26 because I'm running a 41 card Dynasty deck. So it's an interesting kind of setup where it's an honor deck, but it actually has a serious problem with decking out. I've considered putting in one of the Shuffle Goblins for that, but I really don't have anything to draw it with. I don't have enough. So here I decide if I'm going to tell him about the season, right, where he could give me the season out, or have the season out, stopping me from honoring out. We get to see his stronghold. It's going to turn on Magistrate Station. That's a very strong Doji Diplomat. Your third Diplomat is always really powerful. So we just snap cancel the season, and then he GG's, which is correct. I mean, I'm going to play the Kala Delegate. I'm going to play the Brash, both Brashes, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyway, so yeah, that was that game. Yeah, it's probably a good example of this deck high rolling. Hotaru off of Suma on with a dupe is absurd. But you know, it was yeah, that's kind of how the deck works at its best. How it works more often, well, we'll get to that. We'll see. I'll be putting up basically every game that I played this Discord league. So hopefully that'll give you guys a picture of how everything's working with this deck. I did make the Gold Cup, so I'm gonna have some versions of that coming up, but that does have pack 1 cards. So anyway, that's it for now. Yeah, check back later. I'm going to be trying to upload my whole season maybe this weekend. Thanks, folks.